Hello, welcome to another show. I have so many things to talk about, but today I just wanted to say briefly that uh, in November, I did a video November 2nd. I went looking for it the other day and I found a video clip. I was going to show it, but it takes too much effort. But the video clip, you remember I made a prediction about um, how Trump was going to do in Asia, his Asian trip. And he went to Japan, South Korea, China, Vietnam, and Philippines. And I measured, I forget all of them, but there was essentially like in Japan would be a +4, which is like okay, it'd be good. China was going to be a -3, and visually it was very good, but I think in behind closed doors he beat up on people. And that's what I'm saying right now. We don't know. When I dow something, especially like of that nature, the dowsing is looking at the total truth of the picture. It's not looking at the optics, what we see. That's why I always say, oh, behind closed doors. And it's even beyond that. It's even beyond the closed doors. So what we're getting at here is I'm not concerned about the visual optics, but I know some of us and you, I get people to unsubscribe because like I'm not perfect or something, but they're missing the point of dowsing. The dowsing is just is. It's energy. It's just is. It's really good at past tense, present tense. And in the future, I use the probabilities because it's a better way to understand it than a yes no. Will this event occur? Well, 60% chance. But it's giving you the whole ball of energy. And that's the way to look at it. It's a totality of the energy of the situation that's being read versus optically, I'm looking at it. Well, optically, you don't know anything. Optically, we see nothing. This is not a very efficient way of seeing universal truth. and I think that's kind of where I have difficulty doing that. And tarot is the same way. It's exactly the same way. We're trying to look. When you do the first spread, the totality of what we're seeing is true. But, and that's why you have to encompass. Sometimes you don't read it linear. Sometimes you just look at the spread as, boom, what do I see really fast? Oh, in general, the past is this and it's going towards this in the future. Sometimes looking at something for 10 seconds is more accurate than spending 2 hours, being anal looking at it. So, it's an art and there's a science. And anyway, he went to China and he got a -3. You remember that? But they treated him really well in China. And now that we're looking back, we can see that he did these tariffs. He told them he was going to do these tariffs. That's why he's a -3. There was conflict behind the door because there's conflict in our relationship with China because China doesn't want to change the nature of our relationship. They want the gravy train, the easy money to continue. And the other part is the Chinese themselves are not consumers. They're probably healthier for it, but we're the consumers. We're the guinea pigs with this idea of being consumers, and we go out and buy stuff, and we get the world economy and all those relationships working. So, okay, after Japan, he had a positive whatever it was, 4 or 5. It's fine. He went to Korea. Do you remember what I said for South Korea when he went? He was going to hit a home run. It was going to be a 10. And at the time, I go, what in the world is going to be a 10? I personally thought he was going to fly up to the DMZ. That was my hit. And meet with Kim Jae-jong. All right? And they said no. They said yes, he was going to try. They sprung that on everybody. Go, he did try, but it was foggy, and his plane had to turn around and come back. Well, did it? Did he already meet this man? I don't know. I'm going to do that right now. I've never, ever done it. But the point I wanted to make is, okay, has Trump ever met Kim Jae-jong when he went there? Did they meet? I'm getting yes. How high is probably? They already met. Was that a lie that the plane turned around? Yeah. He's already met the guy in secret. And we saw Pompeo, who is an interesting person. I dowsed him, and his money comes from the Koch brothers. Not directly. They invested in his business for like 10% many years ago, and Pompeo had two other West Pointers with him. He's a West Point grad. He's number one in his class, and McCain was last in his class. So last in his academy class is voting on somebody who was number one. But anyway, so their relationship with Pompeo goes with the Koch brothers, who are like awful people, just awful. I don't. And what was I going to say? Oh, so this whole thing with Korea is moving very quickly, and Trump is the one who is willing to take risk against the status quo. And one of the things was, when I was growing up, it was always that the stumbling block, and it was it was a man-made issue. But basically, the North Koreans wanted to negotiate with the United States directly, one-on-one, with no one else at the table. That was their thing. And we always said, no, you have to take in, we want everybody at the table to ensure peace. So it was something like that, we're not going to go negotiate with South Koreans. But the North wanted, in the Asian mindset, they wanted to be on the same level as Americans. So Trump came in and said, I don't care. I'll go talk to you. I'll take the risk that it will be a failure. Well, he's the first one who did it. He's also the first one who's not obliged to the Wall Street banks. So he doesn't have to go ask permission. Obama had to ask permission from other groups whether he could do this. Of course, he was a puppet. He was an actor. It was Valerie Jarrett, and it was all those other people that had the power. Obama had zero. When you go back to George W., he had, I think, 30%. I forget. But that 30% is not enough power to make a foreign policy decision of that caliber. So he had to go ask other people for permission. And they always said no. And you go all the way back. Now, Bill Clinton had 60% power. That's almost not enough for a major foreign policy decision. But he had more power than most. And Hillary was going to be 30%. All right? So Trump is 93% power. He's total. He makes the decision. As it comes in, he makes it. And he has an agreement with the Defense Department. They go do what they want. They barely talk to him. I think they give him updates what they're doing. So what I'm saying is, this North Korea deal is huge. It's equivalent almost for this generation as the Berlin Wall coming down in my generation, which was later. But the people don't see it. The news media is reporting like Trump had nothing to do with it. He had everything to do with it. He brought power to decision-making power. He's changing policy. He's saying this is stupid, going in a state of war, which we are with North Korea. We're in a state of war. So I doubt what's coming up for him, and it's like 95% is going to be successful with the North Koreans. All right? And this is going to be a huge success. And these CNN people, they don't know what to do. So they're saying, well, it's not his credit, blah, blah, blah. They're even giving it to Obama the credit. Obama had zero power. He had nothing to do with it. Trump took the risk. It's high risk. But he says, this is stupid. We're spending all this money. And what I wanted to say was, Dowsing at the time said this was a 10. Well, back in November, it was saying the trip was going to be a 10, a home run, a huge success. And we didn't see it. See how we didn't see? Optically, we did not see it at the time. It took 5 months later. We're looking back, and now we're getting little slivers of light coming through saying, oh, this is a real big that trip was a huge success. The relationship is going through really big changes, but it took to now. If you're looking at the results of that trip right after the day after, you could not see the 10. You're going to say Patrick was wrong. All right, thank you. Bye bye.